Hi everyone, my name is Nina Melendez. I am the Virtual Content Specialist for Multilingual Learners and English Language Learners for grades 9 through 12. Today, on our week 25, day 14 lesson, we are going to focus on our connect and compare portion of the lesson and how we can use this to compare and contrast our answers with our peers. And we'll also be looking at the words domain, input, vertex, zeros, and the word describe. So, first in your lesson, you are going to be asked to answer the introduction launch. Remember, in the introduction launch, you are analyzing an image. In this one, you're asked which one does not belong, which one doesn't belong. And then it says blank does not belong because. So you're going to look at A, B, C, and D and determine which one doesn't belong and explain why it doesn't belong. After you move through your introduction and launch, we are going to analyze our keywords. Why is this important? Because we need to make sure that we understand what these keywords mean before we begin this lesson. Okay, so first we are going to look at the word domain. So the word domain are our independent variables, our x values, or our input. These are all words used to describe the domain. Here I have provided a small chart that you can look at in which you have that your domain is your x, it's your independent variable, it's your x values, and your input. Now, other keywords in this lesson to understand are the words vertex, zeros. Vertex and zeros. The vertex is the highest or lowest point of a graph. So it's that point where the graph gets to a top or to a bottom minimum and that it turns. Okay, so looking here, I have that my vertex is right here at the top of my graph and it's my turning point. Remember, the vertex is a coordinate, x and y. Okay, the vertex is a coordinate. Zeros. Words that we know for zeros are the words solutions, roots, x-intercepts. Could be expressed as a coordinate where you have the value of x and it's 0 on y, or you can express it as x equals. Let's look at our graph to look for our zeros. So I have here one of my zeros, right? It crosses the x-axis, it's where it intercepts the x-axis. And I have here that this is the point -6, 0. Okay, it's always going to be 0 on y. Or I can express it as x equals -6. Now, for your describe, what does it mean to describe? So if you are talking about a graph, you can use words specific as this graph is curved because it turns. There's a curve to the graph. This graph is non-linear because it's not a straight line. This graph has a turning point because it has a vertex and a turning point. So it's using everything that you know about the graph and describing how this specific graph fits into those different vocab words that you already learned. So we're going to look at our lesson and how we can use these words to answer specifically our explore for today. So when looking at our explore, you're going to be presented with a series of graphs. And in this one, it says, here is the equation and graph of the area of a rectangle with a perimeter of 25 meters and a side length of x. And it gives us here the function that represents the graph. You will be asked to describe a domain that is appropriate for the situation. Think about any upper or lower limits for the input, as well as whether all numbers make sense as the input. Then describe how the graph should be modified to show the domain that makes sense. Okay, so it's talking about domain. Remember, if you need to go back in this video and look at what domain means, you can always go back. I will flash over to that slide. So we have domain, and we have the inner graph. The domain are all the x values. We have the inner graph, our domain are the x values. So that is very important to know to be answering this question when analyzing a graph. After you describe the domain and state whether or not that domain makes sense, you are asked to identify or estimate the vertex. Remember, estimate means you might not have the exact number, but you're trying to get as close as possible. And then you're going to describe, what does that vertex mean in this situation? How does that number, how does that coordinate represent this situation that is given here? Finally, you're asked to identify the zeros or estimate the zeros. If you can't really identify the exact x value or coordinate, you can estimate it and describe what it means in this situation. So you will be asked to do this throughout the next couple of slides, and the words have been highlighted in this video so that you are able to relate them back to that organizer where we specifically go over the meaning of each of these words. Once you are done with your explore, so you will go through the different ones, I will ask you to select one of the problems that you thought you did the best in. So you're gonna look over them and you're gonna say, you know what, I think this is the one that I described the best. This is the one that I understood the most. If this is the one that you understood the most, I'm gonna ask you to go ahead and screenshot this response. So you are going to screenshot the entire slide, and then you are going to move over to your summarize slide. Now, if you need any help on how to screenshot, I will leave this here for a couple seconds, or you could go ahead and pause your video and take notes how you can screenshot in different devices. If your device is not here, go ahead and pause the video and go on to Google to search how to screenshot in your device. Once you have screenshotted, you're gonna move over to the summarize. Now, your teacher here may have provided a link in which you can click, and a new tab will be open where you can input your work. Once this document opens, you are going to be working collaboratively on a full class document. Now remember, you are going to be working simultaneously with your classmates, so remember to be respectful of your classmates' work. So remember, we have already screenshot the previous slide that we want to share with the rest of our class. So I'm going to go ahead and click Insert Image, and I'm gonna upload from my computer because in my case, it's saved to my computer. And I am going to upload the latest image. If the slide you are working on has someone else working on it, you can select any of the other slides. Now remember, you can always change the size of your slide if you want to make it a bit smaller. If you just want the describe portion, you could do that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and insert my image here. Now, after I insert my image here, I'm going to go ahead and look at the other slides. The other slides will have your classmates' work in it, and they will be putting their best work just like you did. Here on this side, it says, what information from the situation helped your classmates determine these values? So you're going to look at the situation that your classmate shows, and you're going to analyze their work, and you're going to comment right down here what values made your classmate choose that situation and represent it in that manner. In that way, you can all see how you all answered this question, and hopefully this will help you understand more this topic. I hope this has been clear. Remember, after this portion of the summarize, there is one more summarize slide that you're going to answer for your teacher. Have a good day.